defensive tackle going to the Seattle Seahawks. This is interesting for me, Tim, because if you want an interior defensive line, right, and it depends on what your board looks like, Kenneth Grant's the best available right here, right?
Yep.
The Packers might want to try to trade up to around the 16 or 17 mark if they want to get one of these top-tier defensive tackles, right? But again, with there being 16 defensive linemen in Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, you like your chances of either an edge or a 3-tech being there when you pick at 23. So,
and then you want to play the odds that one of these top guys might not pan out, and then you might find better value with some of these mid-tier guys. You never know. We see first-round picks that struggle a lot of times, and then you see guys with the later draft stock. They tend to do better. So it's kind of a crapshoot. It depends on how aggressive I think Goody wants to be at that position. If he's feeling like, there's a guy that he wants bad enough, I think he does pull the trigger and move up if we're going to go D tackle in the first round. If not, I think we trade back probably, try and make a move in that second or third.
Yeah, and I'm eager to see who's going to be on the board when we pick. It's going to be fun. So Seattle is going to take Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, out of Michigan with the 18th pick. And number 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Daniel Jeremiah has them taking Jihad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. So let's see where our Bama boy is here. Let's see, right here in the 40 spot, his average draft position is right around that at 39.9. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to take him with the 19th pick. So Jihad Campbell is the guy there. Next, you've got Nick Emanwore. I hope I'm saying that right. Emanwore. I doubt it, Tim. I want everyone to understand during draft season, Clayton is going to screw up more names. I mean, there's going to be more Brett Favre moments in this draft than ever before.
Who?
But with the 20th pick, the Denver Broncos are going with Nick Emanwore, safety out of South Carolina. All right, so let's go find him out of South Carolina. There's his teammate, Demetrius King, a linebacker. There's TJ Sanders, another teammate, defensive lineman.
Thick.
Kyle Kennard, another an edge defender, another teammate. We're going to have to dig a little bit here, I believe, unless I'm overlooking him. I don't think I am. So, again, he is a safety, unless he's listed as a corner. Wow, look at this, Tim. They've got him in the 85 spot. So the Broncos are taking, according to PFF, the 85th best prospect out of South Carolina. He's either going to be a stud or he's going to be a bust, nothing in between.
Exactly.
Right? So there you go. The Broncos have got their guy. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 21 are going to go with wide receiver Matthew Golden out of Texas. I know there's some Packer fans that like Matthew Golden. I'm not as big on him as others. His ranking is 23rd, so this is right in that sweet spot for the Steelers. They're probably going to take that pick and look to get rid of their knucklehead over there. What's his name? Carl Pickens or whatever. Not Carl Pickens.
Oh, George Pickens.
They're saying, let's get Matthew Golden in here and get Pickens the hell out of town. That's probably what they're thinking there. So Matthew Golden to the Steelers. So now the Chargers are on the clock. They're going to go with the tight end, Colton Loveland. This is according to Daniel Jeremiah. All right. That is the top tight end in the draft. He's the 29th ranked player in the draft. It drops all the way down to 70 according to PFF when you get to Harold Fannin Jr. Okay, after that. So Colton Loveland will be the pick for the Chargers. So the Packers, Tim, are on the clock. I want to take a second here, okay? I want to take a second, and we're gonna tell you right off the bat, here's who he picks for the Packers. He says edge defender Shamar Stewart, okay? The 20th overall prospect, all right? His average draft position has been 22.4. He's out of Texas A&M, right? So Shamar Stewart is Daniel Jeremiah's pick. Let's look at his PFF numbers here real quick. You're seeing improvement every year, 46.3, 69.5, 79.5. His run defense grade, 88.2. His pass rush win rate, 12.4%, around the three-quarter mark. Run stop rate is down under the median mark at 5.5%. True pass set pass rush grade of 72.3, in between the median and the three-quarter mark. And then the pass rush grade is 67.2. This is one of those dudes, Tim, that's obviously a project. And if I think I know how the chat is going to react here, I agree with it. This feels like another Goody pick. I understand why Daniel Jeremiah says this. I just don't like it. This is what it says. The Packers love front seven players from the SEC with outstanding traits. Stewart fits the mold. There's those traits again, that ball of clay, Tim.
Why don't you just scroll one down and do the right thing and pick Jack Sawyer?
Well, here's the thing, too. Here's the best prospects available with this draft. And again, I think this is a very realistic approach to how these teams may treat this draft, right? Top player available is safety Malachi Starks out of Georgia. You're not interested there. According to PFF, a top 10 talent in James Pierce Jr. at the edge position out of Tennessee is there. Let's compare his numbers. Look at his numbers, Tim.
Wow.
68, 90, and 87. I mean, his pass rush grade, 88.9. His run defense grade, 84.2. Pass rush win rate, guys, 22.7%.
Here's the guy.
True pass set pass rush grade of 83.4 and a run stop rate of 10.1%. Tim, I don't know, bro. 6'5", 243. Like,
yeah,
that's
a unit right there.
Yeah, this would probably be my pick here if we were doing this mock draft, and I'd be over the freaking moon. You know, I don't know. How do you feel about it, man? We're gonna pick who Daniel Jeremiah picks. I just want to look at some of the options here, man.
I want a D tackle before I want edge, but
Okay.
That's why I'm not the GM. So I think there's some validity to what you're saying about Pierce here. He might be the better option, even over, my guy Sawyer.
Yeah.
But I do think if they stick and pick, there's probably a good chance they go edge at this point of the draft. But
right,
I don't know.
Here's what's crazy too. Like when I did my mock draft and I took Jack Sawyer, I felt really good about it. Right. People on Twitter were saying there's no way Jack Sawyer will be there, and I'm going, hell, here he is. Former NFL scout doing a mock draft. It looks like he's more than going to be there. I mean, there's a bunch of edge defenders. Look at this. James Pierce Jr. You've also got Mike Green out of Marshall, right? That guy we're talking about could turn heads this week. Shamar Stewart, who Daniel Jeremiah's picking for the Packers to take. Jack Sawyer, Nick Scourton, and then you're getting into some D tackles. So this
That's what I'm saying. See, Talik Williams is on the board.
Let's look at just the defensive lineman alone here, man. Let's take a look. So just the defensive lineman alone, you got Talik Williams, 26 overall, TJ Sanders, 35 overall, Omar Norman Lott at 47, and then you're kind of reaching after that, right, with the Deion Walkers, the Alfred Collinses, the Derek Harmons, according to PFF. So what's interesting here is what we opened the show with, like, man, it kind of feels like the Packers should trade back. I mean, look at this. If James Pierce is in your top tier of talent, I think it's a no-brainer you go get him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like Shamar Stewart here. But what the hell do I know? I'm just a dumb redneck, right? So it's just interesting to see how it falls into place. If you were to trade back 5 spots, that's going to guarantee you're going to get one of these. You could probably trade back and get Shamar Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the Packers traded back 3, 4, 5 spots like we were talking about, pick up some extra draft capital to try to triple dip into that sweet spot of 20 to 60, and then you still get your guy in Shamar Stewart. And you know what? If Shamar Stewart goes, and when you come pick again, you're picking between Mike Green and James Pierce. Oh Lord, that's just horrible,
Yeah.
And
Look at Mike Green, man.
Yeah, and like you said, what if you trade back and all those edges go, and now you're picking, you get extra draft capital, and you could take a defensive tackle best available, right? So
Absolutely.
anyway, we'll go rapid fire from here on out. The whole reason we did this mock with Daniel Jeremiah's mock 1.0 is to get to this point and go, wow, look at the options, right? So, yeah, let's see J. Cole. Let's see what he says here. Clayton, you know your team. That would be a bad pick if you're looking to win now another LV. And you talking about James Pierce Jr., I'm assuming, Jay. To me, James Pierce doesn't look like an LVN. James Pierce, I mean, look at the grades. I don't remember what LVN's college grades were. I don't remember them being just through the roof, though, Tim. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but I remember it being like this dude's an athletic freak. Maybe they were like this. Maybe, you know what? Maybe J. Cole is correct there. Or is he talking about Stewart? He says Stewart. Maybe he was
talking about Stewart, yeah.
So, your team, that would be a bad pick if you're looking to win now another LV. Gotcha. Yeah, right. Yeah, so I would feel a lot better about like a James Pierce than I would a Shamar Stewart. I see what you're saying there. That's a great point, Jay. Yeah. So Turtles is saying take the top defensive lineman first, right? And again, we're going to do what Daniel Jeremiah did, which is take Shamar Stewart. We're just getting everybody's opinion. Hey, what would this look like, right? So take the top 10 talent, Judah Tom says, right? So, yeah, I think we're all on the same page, but we're going to move forward with what Daniel Jeremiah is going to do here, and that is take Shamar Stewart, edge defender out of Texas A&M. And I'm eager to see where these other guys, Tim, make a mental note. Let's see how long they stick around, right? So
absolutely.
All right, Shamar Stewart, bang, is who Daniel Jeremiah got. Next, you got the Minnesota Vikings. They go Malachi Starks. I love that pick for the Vikings, by the way, with obviously, guy can never think of his name, Harrison getting a little older.
Yep.
That's a dude he's a top 10 prospect according to PFF.
And they better be smart. They don't have a lot of picks in this draft.
Yeah, definitely. Up next, you got the Houston Texans. They're going to go wide receiver Luther Burden III. Okay, so they're going to get C.J. Stroud another target down there. Boy, that talking about a wild receiving core. That's interesting there. So they're saying it's the top need too. I know injuries kind of decimated that room this year, but they go wide receiver. So now you're at 26, and James Pierce is still there, Tim. And here's what's crazy. The Rams are going to go offensive tackle Josh Conerly Jr. out of Oregon. I apologize. So they're going to go offensive tackle here, according to Daniel Jeremiah. And then Baltimore Ravens are going to go Azare Thomas out of Florida State is who they're going to go with here. Where's he at on the board? Because I don't remember seeing him up toward the top. He must be a little lower. So according to Daniel Jeremiah, they're going to reach a little bit for a cornerback here, the Baltimore Ravens. Or, of course, the Ravens will pick him, and he'll be a stud. That's just the way that always works.
Right.
Yeah, they got him in the 84 spot on PFF. So you're seeing a big discrepancy from where Daniel Jeremiah currently sees these prospects and where the PFF big board sees them.
That's why we're doing this, though.
Yeah.
We love it.
And I've already got the screen grab saved, so we'll hit on it tonight, kind of recap it and see, hey, what if the draft did fall this way, right? Up next, you got the Detroit Lions. Nobody's going to like this, boys. The Detroit Lions are going to take Mike Green.
Don't put that name in my mouth right there.
So what you're seeing is if you wanted to pick between James Pierce, Mike Green, and these other big defensive tackles, you're probably going to have to trade down to Baltimore to stay ahead of them. It's going to improve your chances there. So they are going to take Mike Green in Detroit. I think every Lions fan would be over the moon with that, or James Pierce Jr., to be honest with you. Next, you got the Washington Commanders. They're going to take offensive tackle Josh Simmons. That looks like a solid pick for them. Go ahead and help protect their boy, Jaden Daniels in Washington. And then next, you got the Buffalo Bills. This is where Derek Harmon goes, Tim. So he goes 30 to the Bills. So you're going to look to trade back no more than 6 spots if you want to keep a chance at taking one of these top defensive tackles. Right now, here's what's interesting. Derek Harmon is significantly lower than where Daniel Jeremiah sees him going. I mean, significantly lower. PFF has him currently in the 86th spot. I think that's wild. That's why when we got him in the 3rd round, we crushed that mock draft, right? If I pull it up here real quick, matter of fact, I think we got it right here. We got Derek Harmon in the 3rd round. I don't see it happening.
It's pretty good for our first mock, man. I think we crushed it.
Oh, we know. Of course we did. We got Jaden Higgins, right?
Yeah,
we got Jaden Higgins.
And we got Kobe.
A very good point, right? And he's being linked to the Packers a lot this week. They've had a lot to they've been meeting with him, it sounds like. So, so the Buffalo Bills, again, are going to go with Derek Harmon. So we just need to make a mental, which we got the screen grab. We can do it later. We need those mental notes of, all right, when did these guys go, right? So, and that's going to determine how far you need to trade, that you can trade back and still get one of what we consider these top guys. You're seeing, though, what he's talking about. Once you get outside of 20, all these guys are kind of bunched together, right? Like Derek Harmon, he's obviously, according to Daniel Jeremiah, good enough to take here with the Buffalo Bills pick. So let's go Derek Harmon for them. And then you got the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to get a run now on these defenders, Tim. Next, you got TJ Sanders, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. And I think he was a little bit lower on PFF's board, but obviously many people like him a lot. we're going to have to go. Was he up here? Did we just miss him? No, they've got him significantly lower. So, no, there he is, 35. I must have overlooked him. So they got TJ Sanders in the 35 spot. Philadelphia Eagles are going to get him at 31. Tim, surprise, surprise, right? TJ Sanders going to the Eagles. The Eagles once again going, I know we got the best defensive line in football. We're just going to make it even stronger.
Yep.
That's what you've got to do, guys, if you want to keep that defensive front stout. You've got to. And I know we get angry.
Big reason why they're in the Super Bowl, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And again, fans are, do we really need another D? Yeah, load up. You can never have too many, quote-unquote, 3-techs, right? Again, as Michael Lombardi and Bill Belichick said, everybody thinks they got a 3-tech, and very few teams truly do. So the Eagles are just going to keep reloading that, according to Daniel Jeremiah. There's definitely precedent there for that. All right, so before we make the 32nd pick here for the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to tell you who they're going to take. They're taking James Pierce Jr.
Of course.
Could you imagine the Chiefs getting a top 10 talent if the PFF board is correct, and we're not saying it is, just using this as a tool. Could you imagine them getting a top 10 talent with the 32nd pick, Tim? And here we took Shamar Stewart, right?
Yeah. I can totally see that happening, of course. Be just exactly how it would go, wouldn't it?
And it sucks.
And
it sucks. We'll do it live. This thing sucks. So there you go. No more rigged Chiefs games. That's an executive order signed by Emilio himself. All right. So there it is. I had somebody complain the other day, would you stop showing pictures of Trump? Like, oh my God.
Oh, gosh.
It's Emilio photoshopped on his – I don't know what to do to make people.
I'm not saying it's the best Photoshop, but it's a good Photoshop.
I really tried to blend that. That was a piss poor effort too. Look at that. I left his hairline in. With
I was going to say, you could tell Emilio's got the wig on, man.
It's hilarious. Guys, we're going to make fun of politicians on both sides of the aisle. That's what we do here. So
that's right.
I don't know what to tell you. It's the only way I know to try to unify people is point out that both sides are just absolutely lost their mind.
Right.
Again, if you
want to look at Clayton pointing them out right here.
Right. If I know what the hell is going on in the world, right? I'm just, like I said, I'm just down here living in my bubble. But anyway.
It was the best Photoshop ever. Very good. I mean, very good.
All right. So here we go. Before we go, James Pierce, is there any positions you want to see, Tim? Because what's going to happen as soon as I make this pick, we're not going to have access to the database, and it's just going to show us the draft board. So
show me those defensive tackles, man.
So let's see who made it through the first round, according to Daniel Jeremiah.
Oh, look, Deion Walker.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Here's the guy.
So you got Tyleik Williams, who's the 26th best prospect, according to PFF. You got Omar Norman Lott, who is the 47th ranked defensive lineman out of Tennessee, obviously James Pierce's teammate. You've got Alfred Collins, 63, in the 63 spot out of Texas, right? He's sitting there. You got Deion Walker, who's sitting in the 74 spot out of Kentucky. You got J.J. Peegs at 109 out of Ole Miss. You got Simeon Barrow Jr. at 121 out of Miami. You got Shamar Turner out of Texas A&M at 134. I gotta make sure we didn't take the wrong guy. That sounds a lot like the guy we took. Let's see here just to make sure that we did get it right. Shamar Stewart, is who he had him taken. Okay. I was like, we might have screwed this whole thing up, Tim. So, and then you've got, it's obviously going to drop off after that. You got my boy Riley Mills, who battled through an injury last year, or dealt with an injury, rather. He's got to come out of the other side with that. Also, that was early, and Howard Cross III had to step up. So those two guys, Howard Cross has dropped significantly, man. Last year, he was highly touted. Look at that PFF grade, 89.8. Tim, I would not be surprised if this is the Jaden Reed of this year's draft. You know? That you look up in the second round and he gets picked over everyone else, and it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, 2023 was an absolute dog. Let's see if anything changed in the snaps. Pretty much the same, pretty same rate there. He's mostly a 3-tech, and he can kick to the A-gap as well, play a 1-tech.
And help us in the pass rush, clearly his strong suit. Yep.
Just the injuries, that was the main thing this year with Howard Cross. So, that's probably what's got him drop down significantly. He might not be ready. I don't know. We have to dig into that a little deeper. So, as far as what Daniel Jeremiah said about Pierce, again, James Pierce is the person who's sticking out the most to me in this little mock. It's like, why did he fall so far? It says some people see Pierce going earlier in round 1, while there might be a debate about where he'll land in the draft, there's no doubt about his elite speed and production. So he kind of fits that measurable thing that Goody likes, right?
Yep.
So if I had to put money on it after seeing Daniel Jeremiah's first mock draft here, Tim, not just because he took Shamar Stewart, I would say there's a really good chance the Packers take an edge defender if they stay put at 23. You know,
I would agree.
I hope they trade back and get an extra bite at the pie there, and go D tackle. But if they were to take a top tier, you know, obviously it would be in their top tier. They're not going to reach. That's the other thing, guys. We're looking at this like, why did they take a guy less? If they take him, that means he was in their top tier talent. There's no arguing that, right? Yeah. So it just depends on what Goody's board looks like. So, Goody's
not going to care where PFF has him.
Right. There's going to be some people saying, hey, what about wide receiver, right? So they've got Egbuka out of Ohio State. He's the 14th best prospect. He's still on the board. Alec Onyemata out of Stanford. He's in the 34 spot. Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TCU in the 49 spot. Xavier Restrepo out of Miami in the 50 spot. And then Tim's boy, Jaden Higgins in the 55 spot.
Here's the guy.
That's setting up. If that happens like Daniel Jeremiah says, we might have a shot to get him in the second round.
That whole crop of receivers is really good. Even Jalen Royals there.
Yep.
And then the two kids from TCU, Jack Beck and Savion Williams, another set of guys to keep an eye on. But yeah, Jaden Higgins is my dude for sure.
Yeah. Comparing those two out of TCU, you've got Savion Williams, his PFF were 58, 72, 78. Okay. And then his teammate Jack Beck was 65, 62, and then bang, he popped to an 83. So you're getting a little bit more consistency with Savion Williams, but also Jack Beck turning heads there too. 6'2", 215, got good size, only 22 years old as a senior as well. Savion Williams is 6'5", 225. There you go. That dude.
Yeah, told you, man. I ain't looking at no shorties this year in the receiver class.
Exactly. All right. I think we covered it pretty good. I'm trying to think any other, there's a chance the Packers could go offensive tackle again if that's the case. Wyatt Malum was still on the board. Gray Zabel, the guy out of North Dakota State, we talked about him. He's still on the board. Cameron Williams out of Texas, big prospect there. Just a couple guys. If we were to go interior offensive line, Tate Ratledge out of Georgia, and then you got Jared Wilson in the 103 spot is the center out of Georgia. But look at the two Georgia boys right there at the top, man.
Yep.
So,
and then the next two are good looks too. There could be mid-round value with Connor Colby or Luke Kendra too.
Yeah. Keep in mind too, as we pick James Pierce here for the Kansas City Chiefs with the last pick of the first round, that does kind of set the stage, Tim. It sets the stage for another second-round potential center draft pick for the Packers.
Yep.
Like, there's precedent there, right? You took Elton Jenkins, who was a center. You kicked him to guard, right? You took Josh Myers, who was a center, in the second round, right? Am I thinking right? Yeah, it was a second-round pick, yeah. Everything's so blurry now, dude. I swear. We've done so many mock drafts and broken down. This is our third season doing the pod during the draft. It's everything starts to blend together. I'm like, when was that guy? Clayton, he was drafted in 1998. Oh, hell, my bad. Like, I'm lost now. So let's see. Is there anything in the chat we need to hit on, Tim? We got anything starred?
I think we're caught up.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, here. Vahan, I'm not going to butcher your last name. Vahan said Stewart News had to leave the Senior Bowl. So we're looking at that. Yep.
Yeah. Let me I'll go look that up real quick. If you want to hit on anything else in the chat, let me see if I can figure out what the heck's going on there. Before we make this last pick, I'll keep this information up for us though.
We got more breaking news. Holmes confirmed AFAM is currently getting a manicure and could not join us this morning. Gotta love it. Even when he's not here, he's catching strays.
It's hilarious. Let's go.
Somewhere AFAM is he's ironing and pressing his Pat Mahomes jersey, getting ready for the Super Bowl.
Exactly right. We got all kinds of Shamar Stewart tape out there on Twitter. We might hit a little bit of that tonight. I'm trying to see latest news. Shamar Stewart, pre-athletic testing / knowing RAS scores. Here are a few of my predictions on the list that the Packers will like at the Senior Bowl. Texas A&M edge Shamar Stewart, Florida State cornerback, and then Ole Miss defensive lineman Walter Nolan. I'm not seeing anything about him leaving It may have just happened too, though. You know what I mean? So
I'm
not
wondering,
seeing
yeah, you're hoping he didn't
that's
tweet
not right
something.
there. Yeah, Vahan, but I'm not seeing it on the. You guys do your own research, okay? And
There
see-
could be a multitude of reasons why a guy has to leave too. You know,
Right.
not necessarily injury or something crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, just glancing around. I don't see where he left unless maybe it happened yesterday and I didn't know it, right? But God, Twitter's so funny, man. Just seeing some of the posts was just like unbelievable. These dirt bags out here. They're our dirt bags, though. All right, Tim, you got anything else, man? James Pierce Jr., we're going to go ahead and select him. Is there any other positions you want to see here before we wrap up, man?
Now don't everybody crucify me here, but safety. Just look at safety real quick because I'm looking at safety and I'm thinking slot cornerback. I'm not thinking safety at all. So please
got it.
don't roast
since
me.
You specified that, here, let's do this. Let's add corner too, and let's see who has slot ability here, right? Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame still on the board. He's mostly an outside corner, right? And he had that hip injury that's going to play a little bit of a role. Trey Amos at corner, outside corner predominantly, right? Not a slot. So let's see where we get to the first guy who can play slot. Siobhan Ravel's outside. Okay. Darian Porter. Did you have somebody you want to mention, Tim?
Yeah, but he's not a corner. He's a safety.
Okay.
Upton Stout, Western Kentucky. He's going to be down probably.
Okay. So let's see where the first player is that can play slot. So here's Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. Guys are going to go, here's Clayton with his Notre Dame logic. You're going to try to make this work. It is interesting, though, Tim. 465 snaps deep, 306 in the box, 174 in the slot. He played 207 in the slot last year.
See, here's a guy.
Yeah, you want to hear another fun fact about Xavier Watts? He was a team captain.
Here's a guy. Put a star on it. Let's go.
Just saying. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to do it on Madden. All right. I promise you that. Xavier Watts. And I'm going to put slot ? Okay. That might be a conversation to have a little later. Let's see. Next, you got Sebastian Castro. Oh, Tim, here we go. 465 snaps in the slot for Iowa last year. The year before, 703. I don't even know why he's listed as a safety. That dude's a slot defender. Out of Iowa. There's precedent there. He's 5'11", 205.
He's 24, though, so, Goody might not be interested.
Look at this. Hey, Tim, the Jaden Reed second round effect. Last year, 91.2 PFF grade, bro.
Telling you.
Oh, my God. Write him down, boys. This is somebody that might be low-key under the radar here. Sebastian Castro. And again, that is a slot. They're both safeties. All right, so we got that. That's really interesting there, man.
I'm telling you, there's a handful of these guys that are safeties, that are slot dudes.
Yeah, there's Kevin Winslow. I'm sorry, not Winslow. Kevin Winston. Going back to Family Matters here. Zy Alexander. He's mostly an outside corner, so nothing there. Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky. He's an outside corner. He battled some injuries this year. Safety, Lathan Ransom.
Yep, here's a guy, slot guy.
Got a little bit of slot, yeah, 82. Yep. And he also played in the box. You got to look at that box number. So that's, he's essentially – he can
Jordan Hancock, another OSU guy.
Man, what's his coverage grade? 66.2. That'll probably deter you a little bit from him being a slot corner, right? And again, that was let's see here, Andrew Buka. Dang, look at that PFF grade, Tim. Dang, but he is just a true safety. Well, he played some slot in 2023, 315 snaps.
Yep.
Played much better at safety this year with a 90 PFF grade. That's Andrew Makuba. Sorry, hopefully I'm saying that right. Out of Texas. All right, who else we got here? Mello Dotson. We won't go too far outside of the top 100. He's an outside corner, so nothing there. Jonas Sanker. Sanker, I hardly know her. 139 snaps in the slot. He had 358 in the box and only 282 deep, so there's some slot versatility there. 77.8 the year before. Let's write him down. And again, there's precedent for this, right, Tim? Like you got a little versatility, safety that could kick inside. Obviously they tried that with Javon Bullard this year. So, and I love that you put the disclaimer out there too, like, hey guys, don't roast me. Let's look at safety. I'm glad we did this, especially grouping it with the corners because you can compare apples to apples here.
Exactly.
Billy Bowman Jr., slot guy. There's another one, safety, right? A lot of these safeties playing some slot, man. He's out of Oklahoma, Billy Bowman Jr. So, all right, good deal, man. That's interesting to look at that stuff, man. And again, the PFF grades, they're not everything, guys. It's just another tool that we can use. Jacob Parrish, and he's on the defensive line, 73 snaps. They had that dude mugging everywhere, didn't he? That's interesting. He's kind of all over the joint. So, all right, man. I think we did it, Tim. I think we covered enough here, man. Anything else you got before we wrap up, bro?
No, I think this is a good look. I'll keep doing I've been digging through the bottom of the barrel too for some of these guys, just because I know, we need some backup depth at corner, but I think it'd be great if we had some more options in the slot as well, especially if we're going to have Keyshawn on the boundary. I don't want to see another scenario where we have to put him in the slot on the fly because of injury or something. So if we have some depth there, I think we may be able to do that. So
Turtle says, hour 3, let's run it. If we go hour 3, somebody's going to have to let me sleep on their couch. My wife's going to kick me out of the house. Okay, I promise you that. So 32, here we go with the 32nd pick. The Kansas City Chiefs take James Pierce Jr., edge out of Tennessee. Of course, they get arguably the steal of the draft there. So, again, here is the mock draft. Matter of fact, I'll just close this out, Tim. I don't think there's anything else we need there. And I've got the screen grab already. I did it before we went live here. So we'll just pop it up on the screen, and I'll go full screen where I can actually read what I'm doing here. There is the Daniel Jeremiah first-round draft. Well, what'd you have there on that comment there, Tim?
That was Prince asking about the Western Kentucky guy. Upton Stout is his name.
What was he, a safety?
He's a safety, but hundreds of snaps in the slot. Another slot guy. Probably not super high, though, on the board.
Dang, boy, I see him now, though, Tim. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it. Let me put him on the screen for you.
He caught my eye because, again, late round value.
Yeah. Here you go, Upton Stout.
Yeah, 178th on their ranking. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the grades, though.
Yeah, dude. Again, small school, right?
Yep.
But boy, oh boy, that is solid, man. Yeah, his PFF grades, for those of you listening on the pod, he's only 5'9", though. That's probably what hurts him, right? 5'9", 182.
Yeah, he's not playing receiver. He'll be all right.
But yeah, though, 74, jump to an 80, then jump to an 84. Redshirt junior, doesn't show his age. And, his snaps, you said, Tim, 355 in the slot. He's definitely a slot corner.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, here's what's crazy. Usually you could kind of see, his grade jumped because they moved positions, right? But his grade was steady even when he was just playing corner. That's wild that they've got him listed as a safety because in 2022, he was a corner, right?
Yep.
He played outside corner. And then in 2023, he played 265 snaps in corner, and they moved him around a little bit, 74 slot, right, 35 box, 44 mugging. And then in 2024, he went predominantly to the slot with 355 snaps. He still played corner 71. He was in the box 99, played deep 30, and was on the D line 78 snaps. So,
right. Talk about a guy that, maybe he'd be a good rotational guy in that secondary, man. Probably not playing a lot of safety, but he'd probably be playing some slot.
I'm going to put him down. Again, I know how good he is with the size thing. Yeah. It's the only thing that makes me think, there's no shot. But you never know, man. You never know. Upton Stout. And he is I'm going to put slot question mark, but he's definitely listed as a safety, and that was Western Kentucky, right? So I'm eager to see where he ends up on our board, especially with him being undersized.
Right.
So, matter of fact, I might be able to.
That's like the worst thing you can say about him.
Right.
Short.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How many times have we drafted these Adonises, right? It's he's got the perfect build and not do anything. So
exactly.
Got to take that into consideration. Let's see here. Again, that's Upton Stout. Let's see if I can find him real quick on the board.
Good point by Doug in the chat. He crapped the bed against Arkansas there, 41 grade. Didn't look good. Like you always talk about, how do you look against some of the top, schools?
Yeah. And his best game was against Sam Houston, I think is who that is. So that's a small school, 87.6. That's a good point. That's a good eye there. Doesn't mean it makes him a bad football player. It's just that can be a cluster buster, right? How did they play in big games?
Is that Bama or Arkansas on top? It's Bama, isn't it? Yeah, 41.
That's Alabama.
That's Alabama.
Yeah. At Bama too. So
yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Say, does anybody play well at Bama?
Week 1 at Bama, covering their slot.
Yikes.
Might want to give them a little bit of grace there, but it would have been, on the flip side though, like the viewer was saying, if he dominates that game, boy, you're like, oh man,
yeah,
that's a big.
Nobody's talking about him being 5'9" anymore. Yeah.
Again, what can they do for our team? Look at it through the filter of what can they do, instead of what can't they do. Yep. If you got someone who rises to the occasion in those big games, hey, that's what they can do. In this case, if you were asked what can he do, man, he's versatile as hell. He's undersized, but he's versatile as hell, and he played his best football in the slot. That's what he can do.
Yeah. So, like, what if you Bullard's a slot guy, right? We've kind of established that already. I mean, you get a guy like this and Javon Bullard. Now we're cooking. We got slot kind of taken care of. We can focus on the boundary, and we know our safety room is good with X and Williams and Oladapo. So just the thought.
Here's the other thing too. When you look at a player that's undersized, like Upton Stout is, right? They've got him listed 5'9", 182, right? When you look at someone who's undersized like that, you immediately think, okay, well, what is he? If you're undersized and you got questions, well, he's probably going to be a liability in the run game, and he probably has trouble covering, right? Run defense grade 90.9, right? Missed tackle rate 7.9%. That's almost maxed out. The average depth of tackle, that's a little concerning, right? 5.9, yeah. That's below the median mark. But the coverage grade 78.2, pretty solid. Again, who was he covering though? Right? You got to ask yourself that. But yeah, on our board, Tim, we've got him in the 143 spot. So we've got him at 143, and the PFF big board has him at 178. So we've got him almost a whole round earlier than PFF has him. So
interesting.
Got to keep an eye on him. I'd like to see the what am I trying to say here? I'd like to see the precedent on how many 5'9" slot corner / safeties are drafted in the league too. I'd say it's a pretty low number, right?
Exactly. That could be why he falls.
Yeah.
He could free fall during the draft.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been a fun episode, man. We covered a lot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Like we wanted to take a different approach and do Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft. That way we can see how it unfolds. Now that's his first mock draft. We can do that with everybody's mock drafts. Like if you guys want to do it with a Mel Kiper anyway, we can do that. If you want to do the next Daniel Jeremiah mock draft and see how it changed, we can compare and contrast. It's just there's so many mock drafts out there that you can get lost in the shuffle of who's important and whose isn't. I feel like Daniel Jeremiah is at the top of the list for me as one of the most important ones. So he's got a inside, working relationship, obviously, with all these, coaches, these universities. These coaches know Daniel Jeremiah has the power to increase the stock of a player, right? But he's also going to approach it from an honest standpoint. That's the thing I like about Daniel Jeremiah, if I can say this and we'll wrap up. I put him over other people because I feel like he's not as easily swayed in his opinion, right? He's a stand-up dude. Dad was a pastor. You hear him on TV. He's got very, very high values, right? I don't see him as one of those dudes that would go kind of crooked into the media and try to, let me help my boy out down here because that helps school. And sometimes, believe it or not, that's a real thing. It really is. So he just I've been listening to him now for over a decade, and I haven't heard him slip up yet. It just seems like he's straight to the point type dude. So anyway, anything else, Tim?
No, we're good to go. Put the star next to Upton Stout.
I got him wrote down here, and we'll take that short list and we'll do a little bit deeper dive here. And what we need to find out.
First of all, he's 5'10.5" when he's wearing cleats, so let's not worry too much about his height. Okay,
right. The problem is the other guys are too, right? They go from 6 foot to 6'2". So here's what we need to do. We need to find out all these lists. Xavier Watts, we know, Sebastian Castro. Some of these names we haven't heard, Tim, like the Jones Sanker, Billy Bowman Jr. and Upton Stout. We need to see, are they going to be at the Shrine Bowl or the Senior Bowl? Because I would love to see Upton Stout if he's going to one of those two.
Yes.
And again, probably take a little bit digging, but we need to figure out that information before we go live tonight. Maybe we can deep dive that a little bit more. So, again, that's why you do these exercises. Gives you an opportunity to uncover names that you otherwise wouldn't have, rather than going and arguing on Twitter and telling people their mock drafts are wrong and defending yours. Why not take someone else's mock draft, work the exercise in, and go, okay, here's what sticks out to us. And we got a couple of answers today, but I feel like we also got a couple questions too. Is James Pierce really going to fall that far? Right. So
exactly.
All right, Tim, thank you for your time, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Clayton. This was awesome. See you tonight, man.
All right. We'll see you guys tonight. Everybody hit that like button for us. Feel free to sub to the channel. Thank you all for making us a part of your morning. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go back.
There we go.
Bye, guys.